All right, welcome to the SnydeReport podcast. I am your host, Gary Snyder. Pepper is not with us on this interview. She'll be with us on most of the future interviews, but joining me today, Sean Johnson. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Gary. How's it going over there?
Well, it's cold and it's snowy, and I got chickens running around, and we had to rescue Bob the cat 40 feet in the air from a tree on Saturday night about midnight. But other than that, it's going great.
All right. Sounds like you got a full house over there.
Bob the cat. He's almost a folk hero around here. I mean, he's kind of went viral on Facebook, some of the other social media, and I mean, he's not baby Jessica famous yet, but we hear people concerned about Bob the cat right now.
All right. Well, a few more clicks and he'll be there.
Well, Sean, thanks for joining us today. In a few minutes, we're gonna talk a little bit about what you have coming up, an event in Fort Wayne that I think a lot of people will be interested in hearing about. But for those of you who don't know, Sean is my former campaign manager when I ran for Congress against Jim Banks. So just real quick, how was that experience?
Well, it was interesting, but in a good way. You know, when I first came into the role, I was still really trying to, figure a lot of things out, like how are we gonna, mesh this together. But towards the end of the campaign, I felt like you and I really started to mesh very well. We were bouncing ideas off of each other left and right. And, I feel that we really pushed the needle a little bit in Allen County specifically. I enjoyed it, learned a lot about you. I think a lot of people don't know that you are actually a hilarious guy. I got to see that side of you, and that was awesome. I got to know Gary, not just the candidate, but the guy, Gary. So I enjoyed it.
The highlight of the campaign, and maybe if I ever wrote a book on it, it would be called, Gary, what in the hell are you doing? About 11 o'clock one night, you're at a concert in Atlanta, and apparently I had caused some controversy on Twitter, I think it was. It was still called Twitter at the time. And I'm just getting pounded by other Democrats on Twitter. And you're like getting texts, you're getting phone calls, you're trying to enjoy this concert. You're half lit. And I get a phone call and I answer it. And all I hear is the rap music in the background. And you go, Gary, what in the hell are you doing?
It was, that was a crazy experience because it literally just, everything's great. I'm on vacation. Things are fine. And all of a sudden, just at the clear blue sky, I'm like, what is this?
Gary's drunk tweeting.
Like, what are we doing? And I do think in that situation, parts of it were taken completely out of context. I feel that
I would argue all of it was taken out of context.
It was people who, and it's just my opinion, it is people who were not involved in the campaign trail. It was people who didn't truly understand what was at stake going against the candidate you were going against and how detrimental it was. And now look.
We could have ended it right there. I mean,
it could have
ended it. He would have been back selling. I don't even know what he sold before he got into politics.
Whatever
we ended up losing to the eventual U.S. senator, so that's not all bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad when you look at the big scheme of. It's not like we lost to Joe Schmo here, like we got beat by U.S. senator. So great.
Well, Sean, you're down at the State House quite a bit.
Yes.
A lot of controversy down there, a lot of Republican supermajority trying to fix the shit they broke. What's the feeling down there as someone who is down there lobbying lawmakers, talking to lawmakers? What are you hearing about property taxes, schools? I don't know, transgender in sports, you name it. There's a lot of happening down there. Republicans trying to fix the crap they broke.
So it's a supermajority, period. The sense is very aggressive, honestly, very cocky. They know and understand that they have the pull and power to do whatever they want. And so that's what they're going to do. When it comes to the property taxes, I do not believe that is going to benefit. It's not going to benefit Hoosiers long term. It's not something that I feel is pushing us in the right direction. And people are pretty upset about it. And there's been a lot of movement, especially in the lobbying world when it comes to how this is going to affect people. When it comes to the transgender reform, the Republican Party is just simply not trying to hear it. They want no conversation. They don't want to engage it. And for any lawmaker that tries to push it, we're seeing them not be able to push other bills. We see them not being able to get any other amendments on bills that they're pushing. So the Democratic Party is really strapped. They're really handcuffed in the State House.
Well,
And it's a big problem.
Well, first of all, for people that don't understand what a supermajority is, the Republican supermajority right now, if they wanted to, they could expel every Democrat from the Indiana House. That's a supermajority. They could, that's how irrelevant, Democrat lawmakers have become in the state of Indiana. I mean, they could literally expel every single one of them right now.
Yep. And they would be able to move forward with business as usual. I mean, everything that they wanted to get done would go through, and there would be no help for the people.
Now, Mike Braun says that he is not going to sign the Senate version of the property tax bill. And I, as someone who has had their assessed value double in the 8 years they've that we have lived in this house, it's hit us personally. But, he's saying, no, I'm not going to sign it. I don't know, because I don't even know the reason why, but I know his version of the property tax bill is going to hurt local government. It's going to take money away from schools. I think almost $8 million over the budget period just from Huntington schools alone. It's going to hurt local municipalities. It's going to hurt firefighters. It's going to hurt hiring police. It's going to affect every aspect of people's daily lives in local communities.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, and we're already starting to see that. You look at the bigger cities, right, across our state. How are people able to function? How are they able to maintain being a homeowner? How are we able to keep up with the day-to-day life and day-to-day findings? And that's the problem that we're seeing in the state house, is that the legislators, the current legislation, even and our governor as well, has not had to live the same life as other Hoosiers. And because they don't have that lived experience, it shows in their policy and it shows in their votes when you're sitting there watching it. I mean, it's pretty, and it happens just like that, real fast. I'm just in there yesterday, and it took 2 seconds for a bill to become law. I mean, boom, 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 done. And so it's just like, wow, like they know what they're doing. They're aggressive about it. They don't care. And something has to be done about it.
And the Democrats in the state house aren't even a speed bump, because
no, they do what they can when they can. But again, anything that they really want to push is getting shut down. I have seen Representative Mitch Gore be able to do some good things. He's been able to cross that bipartisanship line and get things done. Senator Fatty Cadora has been able to get some things done. Senator Huntley's been able to get some things done. Senator J.D. Ford is really putting in the work, but it's tough. Every day in the State House is a brand new day. And they're battling, but they have no power.
And the thing that really, really puts a wrinkle in my panties is that everything that they do, everything that they say, there's no consequence. They broke it, and they're pulling, Trump out of their ass and trying to say, hey, we're here to fix the shit we broke.
Well, the problem with being reactive is that it causes way more problems than being proactive. And because there's this aggressiveness in how they move their policy, now we're seeing the ramifications of that. We're seeing it, and it's going to continue to get worse. So we need a call to action big time. It's not enough just, being in the State House. Like, we need to make sure that we are speaking directly to these legislators. I would encourage everybody, annoy them. I'd send 1,001 emails, 1,001 phone calls, and show up 1,001 times to get my message across about what's going on. Maybe then we can shake the tree and get some of these folks out of there.
Other than the property tax issue, what else are you seeing down at the State House when you're there shaking hands?
So I've seen, obviously, there's been a lot of conflict on the legislation behind attempting to legalize marijuana. Like that has been something that is being split on in the Republican caucus. There's been a lot of talk from my constituents regarding, why are we able to, see this stuff on a billboard, but yet we can't go use this product. We see every state around us
Well, they want to stop you from
doing
seeing it
this.
on a billboard, though.
Correct. And so we don't want it on a billboard, which I would agree with that. I would agree with that. But then you're not allowing the people to get what they want, what they've been asking you for years. It's $1 billion industry. We seem to have fiscal issues in our state when it comes to budgeting things. So why not allow something to benefit the state? Constituents don't mind paying the taxes on it. So let's utilize something to boost our overall economy in the state of Indiana, and we just won't.
As someone who has had a family member go through the process, someone that got caught with a very small amount of marijuana, I can tell you right now that part of the reason we will not legalize it anytime soon, and that's my opinion, is the dollar signs. I mean, when you take a look at someone that gets arrested for having 2 joints in their pocket, and yes, there are local municipalities that will still arrest you for that. Maybe not in Indianapolis, maybe not in Fort Wayne, maybe not in South Bend, but in Huntington, Indiana, they will still arrest you. Then you have to come up with bail money. There's $700. Then you have to pay an attorney. That's $1,500. Then you have to pay court costs and fines. And I'm telling you, I think we spent almost $4,000 to $5,000 home detention. That's not free. And by the time you get done spending and getting out of the system, you spent $5,000. And I would have to smoke a hell of a lot of pot to pay $5,000 in taxes.
Yes. So it's easy moneymaker. Easy moneymaker. So how do we combat that? That's $1 million question. Also, we're seeing legislation to shut down IPS schools. And that is another big one in the state house. And there's this feeling that if they can come in and do this to IPS schools, what's going to happen to, Fort Wayne Community Schools? What's going to happen to St. Joseph?
Same thing.
They're going to gut them and put in the charter schools that don't follow the same laws as the public school, but are getting the public dollars, which is a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, Republicans want to end public education. They want to make everything a private or a charter school, period.
Yep. And so I think it would be different if these said schools were going to follow the same standards, or if not tougher standards, but we don't know what these standards are.
Public schools have to take everyone, charter and private schools
don't, period. And so what's to say who they're going to pick? What's going to stop them from saying, I don't want that student in my school based on what?
She has a genetic abnormality. She's got cerebral palsy. He's whatever the case may be.
Yep. And so it's been a huge thing, and also immigration. It's been there was just a big immigration day at the State House, and there's this large feeling that people are going to start, children are going to start being deported from classrooms, and that people are upset about it. So the State House has been it's been on fire lately. It has been on fire, but honestly, it's good for these legislators to feel how their constituents feel about the decisions that they're making. They're not they're makers of the law. They're not the enforcers. And that's another issue as well.
And with the Trump administration turning back the regulation, saying that ICE can't go into schools or can't go into churches. They can now. What's to stop immigration or ICE from going into a school, grabbing some children that aren't here documented, and using basically them as bait to get the parents? I mean, we're that close from that happening right now.
Yeah. And we are living in absolute scary times. And so I'm hoping that, moving forward, because he is our commander in chief, I'm hoping that moving forward, that people will understand that this is not what we need and vote in favor of their interest and not against it.
When you're down at the State House, and I'm going to move away from what's happening in the General Assembly right now, it's 2025, and less than a month, we're going to be choosing a new state chair. Any thoughts on Mike Small as he is leaving and deciding not to run for a second term? And I believe right now we have 4 people that are actively pursuing becoming the next state chair. I think we have former State Senator Karen Talion, former Democrat candidate for governor Jennifer McCormick. We have Destiny Wells, who's lost her last 2 elections. And we have Derek Camp, who is the in Allen County. So your thoughts going forward, because we're going to be interviewing, I think, Jennifer McCormick and Karen Talion very soon.
Okay. Well, it's good. When it comes to Mike Small, I've never had a problem with Mike. You know, it's always been very good camaraderie between us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the last real conversation we had would have been at the caucus in which history was made in Allen County with the caucus of Mayor Sharon Tucker. And I remember us having a little chat. And I looked at him and I said, you know, we're getting ready to make history. And he says, you think so? I think we may be here for a couple of rounds. I was like, I don't think so. I was like, I think you have to be ready to be shot. And, you know, lo and behold, Mayor Tucker won. And I looked at him and I smiled. And I said, I told you so. And, you know, he could have been a jerk and said something smart back, but he didn't. He looked at me, he shook my hand and said, you are 100% right. He's like, I've never felt this type of energy in a room. This is insane. I said, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. And, you know, he stood there, took a picture with the mayor and, you know, moved on from there. So I've never had any, you know, personal, like, bad things with Schmo. I know other people, you know, may have other opinions of him. But anytime, you know, I reached out to him and asked him to help me, he did. He gave me knowledge, you know, connected me to some things. So I have no ill will towards Mike, and I really do wish him well.
I think Mike has done a fabulous job. He's walked into an almost impossible situation. He did what chairs are supposed to do, show up and raise money. Now, we don't necessarily see the results of that right now, but we may at some point. And kudos to Mike. He's always a phone call away for me, an email away. So real quick, any thoughts, any front runner who you don't have to tell me who you're rooting for or who you're supporting, but your thoughts on the 4 that are trying to be Indiana's next Democratic state chair.
Well, I just tell you the feeling of some of the constituents I've spoken to. The feeling here is that it's seeming like the race is between Destiny Wells and Karen Talion. That's just what I'm hearing from a lot of folks. Now, obviously, I've worked with Derek Camp a lot. I think that he clearly, you can see the money that was raised in Allen County, but I think there's a lot of drawback when it comes to the success of Allen County in certain areas. I believe that during Destiny Wells' during her run, she was able to connect to a lot of people throughout the district and the state in an unorthodox way. And it showed in the results for the selection for Attorney General. And I just believe that there's a sense of people want to see like a new guard, a new turning of the guard. They want to see somebody like fiery and fresh. And so if I had to give a nod to anyone right now, like I would give the ultimate nod to Destiny Wells. I just believe that, you know, based on the conversations I've had, that people are just that ready for something different. There's been a lot more people coming into the party that have a different view of how things have been going. And I just think they want to see something, an overhaul of the whole thing. So that's just my sentiment. We'll see how it shakes out. I'm just going to sit back like a fly on the wall.
Opinions are like something. Everyone has one.
Everybody has one, you know, so I'm just going to sit back and watch and, you know, see who will be the next leader, see who I'll be emailing to work with.
It will definitely be interesting. Now, contrary to what the federal government and Mike Braun want you to believe, this is Black History Month across the nation, and your organization, tell us a little bit about it and what you have coming up.
Yeah, so we founded the Growth Project, which is a political youth organization that is geared towards teaching young people how to make politics a career by focusing on youth initiatives. It has been an absolute amazing journey building this. It's been myself and Darion Searcy, who is the former executive director of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus. He's done a lot of great work throughout Indianapolis and working on different campaigns. And so we went through a program together called the Emerging Leaders Project. And it was a great experience. We bounced ideas off of each other, and we've just become really good political friends. And so during Black History Month, we've been putting on this panel, to educate folks and to show who our important Black leaders are now. There's nothing wrong with the Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X's and people like that, but there are current Black leaders who are doing things. And so I want to just honor the living. So last year we had Black Men of Excellence. The year before that, we had Black Women of Excellence. And then this year, we have Black People of Excellence with a focus on business. With DEI being torn down, there's a lot of confusion on, what's next? How do we move forward? And so we put this panel together of people who are great in the field of business, specifically in Allen County, to talk about those things and educate everyone, and specifically our allies on ways they can help us and teach them what it's like to be in our shoes and give some praises on the things that we have done. So it's going to be a wonderful experience.
When's the event? How can people find out about it?
So the event is February 20th in the main library downtown Allen County, in the theater. It's an amazing 200-seat theater that's well equipped. You can find out about this event on the Grow Project's website, www.thegrowproject.org, thegrowprojectin.org. I apologize. We also have Instagram, Facebook, and then we are getting ready to launch our TikTok as well. We've got some young people who are excited about doing the social media side of the youth politics, so I'll let them have fun with that. I think my knees are a little bit too stiff.
Are we going to see Sean on TikTok?
You might. There may be something floating around now. We were in the State House yesterday, and there's like, just do this little dance real quick. I'm like, what?
Do it.
Let's do it. Why not? So
the internet's forever, man.
Yes, forever. It is. And, I should have stretched before I did that, but it was fun just to engage the youth on politics and them not be afraid to speak to our sitting representatives. And while we're here, I want to give a thank you to Representative John Bartlett, Representative Cherish Pryor, Representative Kyle Miller, Representative Phil Giacquina. I don't want to leave anybody out. State Senator Andrea Hunley. Yeah, and just a major shout out to all involved. Executive Director Alexis Watts for providing us with and helping us navigate this space. It was a really good experience for these young people, and we look forward to teaching that at our cohort come late April, early March. So we're excited. Our event on February 26th is going to be amazing. We're going to have amazing food. We're going to have fun. There's going to be good music. We're going to really. Oh yeah, we got to eat. You can't listen to people, talk about things for an hour and a half and not have some food in your stomach. It doesn't work like that.
Well, Sean, thanks for joining me today, and good luck with your project, and don't be a stranger here.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You're listening to the SnydeReport podcast with Gary Snyder.